Ta-da! It's on. It started. It's going. Things are happening. It's happening. It's happening. Hey. Um. Oh, this is Mount Olympus with the Monster Party modifiers on the AI thing. Here's Rascal and me. So this episode of the Griswold Grim live stream is called Christian Neo-Gnosticism ? And I think Magic's here. Good to see you. I left the throw blankets over the arm of the recliner, and I'm terribly embarrassed about it now. In case you were wondering, so at homeroom today is this. Wait, no, come here. And then stop it. Just stop it. Wow, you sound really bad. Oh. Relax into the spirit of the moment. Relax into the spirit of the moment. Provide the people the necessary savings throws, and then start in story form. Okay, that's what we'll do. You guys understand here that you're swimming in a sea of mind control. But since you've come here, you now get a savings throw against it. And if you pick the die that gets over 10, you take only half damage from the mind control instead of the full damage that's going to be applied to everyone else. And if you comment on a live stream, you get a +3 on the next stream saving throw. It's magic. Okay. Hey, no, and it's magic. Oh, Josh. Hello. I see the assassins have failed. May they continue to do so, Josh. Everybody choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart to base your saving throw on. Wisdom always making a run for it, bro. Survival, 10. Social, 7. Where's hiding under Rascal? Whoop, whoop. 5. Your hand's in the way. I know. 5. And the heart was a 13. It was, honest. I don't cheat. I'm not a cheat. Hey, Lynn. You guys made it. It was 13. I didn't cheat. I promise. So story form goes like this. On the Sunday service, I stated that I need to get with the Loom Room people that have contributed to the Loom Room by weaving clips together. And so I visited the Loom Room and was thinking about like how to do it, and then like working up to communicate and arrange to talk to the people that do it. And the thought was like we do like the Broken Clock Tower Discord presents, and then the name of the thing, and then the thing, and then like Weaver or Reaper credits at the end. Call it the clock. Anyway, so I was looking at the one I was making. The last one that I had worked on that I had not done anything with yet, and it turns out to be this one, which is from PVK in the bathroom way back when, but it's so on point for everything else. It's as if the storyline synchronistically plays out with us along for the ride, and there's been a lot of stuff that I haven't addressed, so it's a lot of scrolling right now, and then I can't find it, and so I play some background music, the one me and Nolan wrote. hide behind the beholder. There's a lot of clicking going on, I promise.
People find themselves, by virtue of their formation, by virtue of the status games around us, by virtue of trying to be a good person, people find themselves innocently, naively, and when I say naively, I don't mean that in the pejorative sense, innocently, naively, completely with a sense of self-evidence that human rights is real. Many who are brought up in the church can feel a similar way. Now, this really gets deep and complicated, but can feel a similar way about the resurrection of Jesus. Now, how deep does it go? How much, you would really know that to the degree that a person begins to no longer fear death. But Tom's point here is clear, that the kinds of belief that our society as a community that forms people.
So it's the formation of the person that was supposed to highlight for your mind hole.
For secularists to recognize that they are not somehow, they have not kind of emancipated themselves from the need for faith.
I don't know that it necessarily reopens. I think we can see how it might, but does it actually? Because I think, again, people are formed in much more basic ways. And that then gets into the mythology, the ritual, the community, all of those ways that people are actually formed in terms of their beliefs. Beliefs are the product of a whole variety of things in a human being's life.
They continue to illustrate it. And I think that kind of contemplating that then reopens the possibility for secularists to recognize that they are not somehow, they have not kind of emancipated themselves from the need for faith.
And then I was thinking, well, what's the precondition for being a scientist? And I thought, well, in some sense, it's a there's deistic preconditions, because one of the things that characterizes scientists, and this includes people like Dawkins, who's a real scientist, is that the scientist presumes axiomatically that there's a transcendent realm outside the domain of epistemological theory. So if you have a scientific theory and you're a real scientist, you know that your theory, which is really what you see when you look at the world, you know that your theory is insufficient in comparison to the reality that transcends it. And so then as a scientist, what you try to do is you try to pit your theory up against the transcendent reality so that
God damn it.
fails. So that you find something about what you don't understand that is able to make itself manifest. Then you adjust the theory to get a better grip on the world.
Or story, because we might agree, for instance, that we need a story to agree upon, or a myth to agree upon, or a set of ideas to
Now remember that stories are and myths are compression engines. They take the combinatorial explosiveness of the world and reduce it down into something that over most of our lives, ever since we've been able to achieve an autobiography, which we call ourselves, and have been doing this communally, because ourselves are not just us as individuals, but always known within community. Narratives are the way that we reduce that combinatorial explosiveness and organize ourselves within the arena as agents and actors within the arena in a meaningful way. You know, when I remember being a junior high kid first reading Tolkien, I wanted to live in that world. I think it's our hunger for beauty and meaning and adventure and all that is good. And so I think it's in some ways the deep logic of the ontological argument that we just can't seem to break away from. You know, when
Remember, Embody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you. So, like, that was the Loom Room product of his little bathroom session on how character formation and the point about how ourselves is sort of historical narrative fiction, and we long to live in a greater communal story, like the story of our city or our nation or our God, and that we are formed by the stories that the people around us are living in when we're raised up in them. Third Wave Red Pill says, I'll come on your stream next week if it's after 6 p.m. Tuesday or later. Well, if you're not on the Discord or Twitter, you can email me and we can schedule that way. But yes, that'd be great. I'm going to put the link out. I just want to cover what I wanted to cover, and before I drop anybody can come talk to me. I believe death will not hurt Magic, but I have zero evidence. Magic does not fear death. She just hope it doesn't hurt. Who? Oh, my name is Rascal. I'm a gentleman. But my hat's over there. Oh, I don't know. I still only have the golden goose to show everybody. Lobster monkey goose. Oh, by the way, you can buy a hoodie without it, with him on it. It's in the description there. Okay, and then let's see. Cool. He's going to catch the replay. I'm gonna say about really important things. I'm almost sure. Oh, this is Beholder. This is Beholder. Well, no, this is the metal unnamed one. Beholder is the blue one. This was a special one that resulted from my stream with Ironroot one day. Get saved. Roll your savings throws. Oh my goodness. I think this is when I play a music clip or a commercial I'm allowed to. Wait. I gotta go back to the comments and turn this off. Then click present and share screen and Brave tab. And then back to the Brave tab I was sharing, and then click the new thing and then hide. Okay, I'm already hiding.
Hey there, I'm Chad the Alcoholic, and the creator of the Friday Morning Nameless channel. I'd like to welcome you to join us for the latest and greatest and most up-to-date information about all the things happening in this corner of the internet. I want to thank you for your time and your attention.
Well, if that's not the most catastrophic misclick a person can make in Streamlabs. Whoops. Now I'm all clustered. Here, please enjoy. Please enjoy. Please enjoy this tune and this picture while I recover. and now please enjoy this tune while I recover some more.
What a sunny day, you'll find me on a big rock basking. Normally I need the shade, but that's all I've been having. I need the world way more than anyone needs me in it. If not for you, I'd run away and not admit it. I disappeared into an empty dark casino. I gambled everything, lost it incognito. And no one knows I'm broken, breaking promises still. And that's until my comic books are buying bill. Rainy day, I always heard the rain breaks life. It's mixing on my colors, makes me hit too light.
Ooh.
I pass the days just filming on the daydream sailing.
FedEx has just pulled up in the yard. He seems to have put a package on the porch. If there's an explosion, that's what happened.
That's just in my comic books, not writing bill. That's a good one. Yeah.
All right. Excellent news. The package was my yearly Wisconsin Cheeseman delivery. And I now have, I don't know, little cheeses and little sausages. They come in that. So the story continues that after I had looked at that Loom thing about self-formation and the narrative forms, that Paul released that pointer at us at the Sunday stream on his channel, and also said that people were telling him that I'm dangerous, which is interesting. And so he alluded that he might make a video about the rest of the conversation between me and Chad on the Sunday service. And so I was like, I wanted to stream last night, but then I had just been pointed at, and I wanted people to see the thing that they'd been pointed at, and I didn't want to run them off too early. And so there was a lot of struggling whether or not to stream last night. Very dramatic. And then, so I stay up late so that like I can sleep until like past the time the homeroom video comes out. Because I don't know, am I gonna be in it? And I'm not. And what it's about instead is it's what happened was he was pulled into a Twitter fight, and it ended up making a video. And the Twitter fight was with this channel that's known as Digital Gnosis. And the thing about Gnosis is it's related with this other thing called Gnosticism. that I was like revisiting in my YouTube history recently. And if you don't know what Gnosticism is, I have some objections with what I'm about to show you, but it's what they're teaching the kids at Yale. Gnosticism is apparently, so it should still be valuable information to have. That should be a definition that should be respectable and handy, or and it's these things that I think we should be able, at least we come from the same. Okay, I know you're talking about the one they teach at Yale, not your own weird version, right? We have the base, and then we can like deviate into my weird version is the thing. So here's something that may or may not be Gnostic while I find the other one from Yale.
There's a lot of uncertainty going on. Just a lot of stupid people doing stupid things, and money's going crazy, and seems like every day just people are getting more ridiculous, and things are getting more ridiculous all the time. But things have been pretty ridiculous for a long time. Just now we're just more aware of how ridiculous they are, because we'll have access to more of the ridiculousness that's going on. So it's all stupid. It's always been stupid. It's always probably going to be stupid. So I just hope it takes some time to just look around this world and go, well, this place is pretty cool. This life thing is pretty cool, in spite of all the stupidness. Okay, so hope you're enjoying your stupid life. Appreciate it for what it is. Okay. We'll see you around.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
See you, Rodney. Okay, I still haven't found it, but here's something else.
How did it feel to be alone? I was always thinking of the game I was playing, trying to make the best of my time. Oh, with love, break your heart.
Did you guys hear that strip naked part?
Try to be sure from the start. Oh, with love, break your heart. What if the world's fall apart?
Yes. Paul did mention panpsychism in today's vid, and I really hope I get there. But first, I did find the Gnostic guy, and I like here proto-orthodoxy and Gnosticism from Yale courses, and does it say who this guy is? I don't know, some guy.
Without being ashamed, and take your garments and put them under your feet like little children and tread upon them.
No, wait, not that part, bro. This part here.
A Christian scholar considered by later Christianity to be perfectly orthodox. He talked about Gnostic Christians and thought he was himself a Gnostic Christian. And what he meant by that apparently was just that he was one of the more knowledgeable. He was one of the more wise Christians. He was in the know. And he seems also to have had an idea that there were two kinds of Christian knowledge. There's public knowledge that all Christians have, and then there's special kind of hidden knowledge, esoteric knowledge that only certain kinds of Christians have. And so this idea that you have esoteric knowledge would be called a Gnostic kind of notion. So there are even Orthodox Christians who might use the term Gnostic in the 2nd century to refer even to themselves. So that's just what the word Gnostic often meant. It would have looked a bit weird to an ancient Greek speaker, but it would have been understandable as simply a knowing person. There are other terms, though, that I want to talk about. I've already mentioned, I believe, the term proto-orthodox. The word orthodox, of course, just means right thinking, right opinion. Ortho from Greek, right or true or correct or straight. Doxa, meaning opinion or thoughts, or then it comes to mean doctrine too. The problem with using the word orthodox is that the opposite of orthodox is usually heresy. Eventually, through different church councils in the 4th and 5th and 6th centuries, what counted as Orthodox Christianity became more clearly defined, and then anything that wasn't that could be labeled heretical Christianity, and it was even outlawed at different times in late antiquity. So, for example, the Nicene Creed that proclaims that the doctrine of the Trinity becomes Orthodox. Doctrines that say that the Trinity is not true, or that there's not the Holy Spirit. And
All right, maybe I should find the part I really wanted to talk about.
Or sometimes you'll see the term heterodox.
You're a heterodox. Show me your transcript.
Hetero just means other. So it's not ortho, it's other.
It's other docs, baby.
So, orthodox, though, the problem is we can't retroject that term easily back into the 2nd century.
All right, not till 38 does he say it.
There are tons of different Christians and tons of different churches
wow.
that had many different views,
good
and they
thing.
didn't all agree.
Good thing I looked.
Some people had
for all of our
experimenting
sakes, huh?
with the doctrine of the Trinity.
What am I showing you right
Christians
now?
wouldn't have recognized the doctrine of the Trinity in the 2nd century.
I'm here.
Some people believe that Jesus was fully divine. Other people believe no, he was fully human but not divine. Some people believed he was both. Some people believe he was a mixture of both. Some believe
I'll put the link to
sometimes he was
this
one,
like
sometimes he was the
later.
other.
It's not
We'll
there
come back to
yet.
this issue of what did people believe Jesus was?
We'll
and that's the
try
doctrine of
here.
Christology. What do you temporary in some texts?
Here.
Gnosticism includes some basic themes that they hold in common. First, the world itself, which is material, is evil. Salvation, therefore, from the world must be escape from this physical world into something else. Gross materiality is not only temporary in some texts, but even bad. It's evil. And salvation, therefore, must be the knowledge of how you, that is the real you, your brain, not your brain, your mind or your soul or your spirit, not your body, that real you is existing in this material body, but salvation will be if it can learn how to escape the body and escape materiality. That salvation will become by knowledge, and that knowledge is a secret. Not everybody knows it. So only a few people know it. The content of this knowledge is related to human origins and destination. So sometimes you get these elaborate myths in some of these texts.
He's getting there now.
Let's say that the supreme God is, in fact, has no name, is not a particular thing. It's this thought. It's just thinking. It's just abstract thinking. That thinking thinks. Well, what does the thinking thing think? The thinking thinks thoughts. Those thoughts start becoming emanations out of the thinking. And then those emanations think and emanate, and those become lesser beings still. And so the different divine beings, there are lots of divine beings that exist in the universe, and by thinking and being, they emanate inferior forms of being after themselves. And eventually, what happened is those inferior forms of being get less good and less like the most ultimate being. And one of them, according to one myth, Sophia.
Now, before we get here, let me just recap for you what I think most people would have taken from the things he's just said. Is that Gnosticism is an escapist religion dependent on secret knowledge that this is a place worth escaping from. But this part here. Yeah, let's do it this way.
Which means wisdom. It's a female. Inferior forms of being get less good and less like the most ultimate being. And one of them, according to one myth, Sophia, which means wisdom. It's a female name, but it also means wisdom. Sophia decides she wants to emanate, and she's supposed to do that with a male consort, because by this time these beings have male and female versions of themselves. She's supposed to only emanate or procreate by doing so with her male consort. She decides she wants to be like the supreme God and be able to emanate on her own. So she puts out a being on her own. In other words, she sort of gives birth without needing a man. Just the female principle. Well, of course, when you do that, you end up with a monster. So the being that came out of Sophia ended up being a clumsy, maybe evil god All of these are divine beings. That God decided at some point he wanted to create things, and so he didn't really do it very well. So he made our earth. He made the world as we know it. He made little human beings like you, just out of dirt and clay. And that's why, you know, we were all creation, not of the supreme God who would do nothing imperfect, but of some stumbling or evil, at least clumsy God who made us. That explains why, you know, things go wrong. Why is it that
Now, if you take what he said so far, you have the perfect divine, and then eventually down to wisdom, who is wise enough to think she can make her own creation, which turns out to be the demiurge, who there also creates us, this material reality in which you'll see.
my arthritis acts up all the time?
His
Couldn't
arthritis.
God have made a human body that didn't have arthritis? Well, that's because the supreme God didn't make this body. The evil, clumsy God made the body. This happened, and so the world that we created, when you read in Genesis, it says God created the world. That's not the highest God. That's some clumsy God down further on the hierarchy of divine beings in the universe. That God created what we are. Now, what happened was at some point, either Sophia or some other beings, they got sorry for all of us clay-like mud people. And somehow a little spark of the divine itself either fell down or got cut up or put in our bodies, or God placed in our bodies or blew it into our bodies. But at least some human beings, not all human beings. In fact, human beings are in different categories. There's, you know, the really low human beings.
I want to point out that how in this myth, the divine spark, he's saying, is going into what we already recognize as us. And I call foul on that bit.
Things like undergraduates. Then there are beings who are a little bit higher, like graduate students. And then you have the supreme beings, Gnostics, like professors. So the true Gnostics, so you don't never, it's not really like undergraduates and graduate stuff, because some of you could be Gnostics. You would be the ones who really have a real spark in you, a spark of the divine. That spark of the divine wants to escape the mud body that is trapped in. But you probably don't even know that you're really a spark trapped in a mud body until somebody comes along and tells you. And that's the job of the Redeemer. That's what Jesus did. Jesus was a Redeemer from the supreme God who comes in to find those people who have a spark of the divine in them, to blow on that spark, to get it going, and to get you to remember where you came from. You're not a mud body after all. The real you came from God himself, God's very self, the supreme God. So the true message of Christianity, according to these guys, is to learn who you are, where you came from, so you can escape the body and get back to your true origin. That is, you will become one with God again. And this was expressed in a poem by Theodotus.
Now, in some video deep down on my channel, if you search the word Gnostic, I think it's Gnostic Primer. You could search the word primer. It's in there. There's this really beautiful poem that I'm going to reference now loosely. And it's essentially, it might be the one he's talking about here. I don't know for sure. But what he says about, what he goes on to say about the poem and what is actually in the poem, I think are different enough. I'm going to separate them for you in your heads. In the poem, it's about the dude goes into Egypt and forgets himself, but he goes in to get a pearl. He goes in to get the pearl. He's not going in there for nothing. There's the divine spark went there for a reason and to get the pearl. And like the whole notion that like the secret knowledge of the pearl is that you're a pearl and you're trying to get out is escapist stupidity. However, if the view is that the divine Christ spark sent into Sophia's abortion is meant to redeem the creation itself and not as an escape hatch for, like, why would the divine sparks come down here just to get out? That's stupid. So I don't know if there is a thing already called Christian Neo-Gnosticism, so there's a question mark. But like, would Christian Neo-Gnosticism be like, this is wisdom's abortion, and because it's really actually wise, we come here and we learn the knowledge of good and evil, and we're here to redeem the place. But it's funny to me that there's this channel irritating Pastor Paul Vanderklay named the Digital Gnosis. And because of the irritation caused by the Digital Gnosis, we got the pearl of the homeroom video we got today, which we can go into in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Remember, Embody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you. Here's my, I'm hiding behind the AI art and taking some coffee drink before I go to the chat and acknowledge all of the people who have said things while I was making my Yale Gnosis spiel. There. Hello. I saw that Michael Sartori just got there. Palpable said something oh, hello, Magic. Bambalamb. Oh, this is the one I first saw. This is the last time I really was on point on the chat. It's all stupidity aside, life is sufferably enjoyable. Bambalamb. Bambalamb. Joseph is about to hit the road and see the folks. Yes. It is one of those Thanksgiving, everybody get together and remember why we live at all weekends. Go play the role. Go LARP your familial roles with your familial family if you can, because you only get so many of those you get to do in your life. Ooh, I would have thought of thinking thoughts. Oh, Josh. I like fireflies. I like turtles. I don't think this is a particular man on the lawnmower. There's a man who drives around with a riding lawnmower and the boombox in this town. It reminds me of the guy from Jerusalem. JN said things. Good to see you, JNs and things. And fireflies. Oh, we were going to go into Pastor Paul's fancy pants drop this morning. The pearl. I thought it was, because there's a part or two in there I really want to talk about. Let's see where we land right here. Oh wait, I have to show you. Hold on, I have to show you. Oh, and I guess I'm ready for other people to come on board now. I kind of want to put it in the Discord instead of in the chat, though. So anybody who has Reaper's Hall access today can find the link to join the chat in the Reaping Room. Anybody else can find some other opportunity to join us live on the Griswold Green live stream. All right. So if anybody wants to come on, the link is in the Reaping Room. And here's where we randomly landed in the hiding spirits that rule the world.
That like they're so scorned by maybe being lied to by the mainstream media or whatever it is, that their personality or identity has almost become the rejection thereof.
Yeah, well, that's always a threat that exists on the conservative side. You know, the left-wingers always accuse the conservatives of being reactionary, and they're reactionary.
I actually want to jump in
because
because that felt a little close to home when he said it the first time. So I want to look closer at it. It annoys me. It might be making the pearl of wisdom.
They're so scorned by maybe being lied to by the mainstream media or whatever it is, that their personality or identity has almost become the rejection thereof.
Yeah, well, that's always a threat that exists on the conservative side. You know,
Oh, I guess I should play it till Paul says something.
the left-wingers always accuse the conservatives of being reactionary. And they're reactionary because they keep saying things like, you guys on the left, you're going too far. You got to slow down.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
stop doing this.
Yeah.
You're going too far. And that is
Yeah.
reactionary in some sense because they're always reacting to the excesses of the left. The conservative types tend not to want to change things. And, you know, that can be their down.
Well, we got to see him take a drink at least. There's this part later where they talk about the overcorrection. And I was reminded of my talk with David Swedlow in the Conversations and Such playlist. We briefly mentioned spiral dynamics, but when I looked at spiral dynamics rabbit hole back in the day, it basically covers how over the course of someone's maturation, their politics starts as a spiral. They're more likely to go out wide left and then swing right, and then a little more conservative left, and spiral dynamics upward. And there's this part at the end here, I think, where maybe he talks about driving. Let's see if I land on it. Let's see. Karaoke with Pastor Paul, everybody.
Troubled by this same Reformation Enlightenment to now say, oh, there's no such thing as the climate that the Netflix employees are trying to address. Really? The Netflix employees believe so. Andrew Schultz believes so. We all believe so. And
that, like, you never appended the social modifier to the word climate in those uses because it's a social climate, a cultural understanding. It's all LARP. Sacred LARP. I'm gonna try and find the table part I wanted to talk about.
And it's become an enormous preoccupation for the culture itself. Hopefully this has been helpful. I can't.
Oh, account table, conf table, composable. Aha, here it is. There's the panpsychism part.
Say the spirit of the West, and that's sort of a thing we talk about. And then we could say West Coast, so then it's just California, Oregon, Washington, and that would be different from the spirit of the West. And we can easily talk that way. And to say an angel of these things in our sort of Cartesian issued dilemma where when we hear spirit, we think ghost. No, ghost is a separate thing. Ghost and Geist and spirit. So, I mean, part of what we're trying to do here is come up with language, assuming that if we, in fact, continue to work on the language, maybe then, in fact, we can have more knowledge. And if we have more knowledge and better knowledge, we can have more agency, et cetera, et cetera.
What's that, Paul? Hey, Chris, did you say et cetera, et cetera? Did you actually mean... Remember, everybody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
The same applies to a table in the case of panpsychism.
Mhm.
The panpsychist says the table is conscious, has a private inner life of its own.
Now, again, private inner life of its own. This, I think, is part of the problem of this conversation, and the same thing we had in Thunder Bay with John, is that we sort of keep projecting our experience of consciousness onto what we imagine this consciousness would be. Now, obviously, in Christian theology, we do this with respect to God, but we don't know what the phenomenology of such a consciousness or agency would be.
Chameleon. Sorry, Lynn made me do it. We come and go. We come and go.
And this is where we get into the question about demons. So if you go back, I'm going to say this, and it's
all right. Now, for if you're not one of them synchronists, right? You might see no connection between Lynn Lavoie and the hive mind saying culture clue chameleon, chameleon. Me singing that pausing the video and singing that nonsense, and then restarting it to hear Pastor Paul Vanderklay say,
if you go back, I'm going to say this, and it sounds terribly self-promotional.
No, wait, this
Your
part.
agency would be.
This part.
And this is where we get into the question about demons. So if you
now, the reason I say all that nonsense is because Illidan over here that Lynn Lavoie summoned with her little song is a demon from the world of Warcraft. And now, of course, that means absolutely nothing to anybody. Right? It's just weird little coincidences that make the spice of life. The synchronous that makes the story that
go back, I'm going to say this, and it sounds terribly self-promotional, but what I do with my adult Sunday school class in those videos, and the videos all have a thumbnail that looks the same. It's me with a little screen, and it'll have something about the Bible. We're in Romans 4 right now. What I do in my adult Sunday school class is really working on all of this stuff with normal people with their Bible study where the rubber meets the road. That's part of what I'm doing, and working on this, sort of projecting our consciousness up into that space. And so Bernardo Kastrup, fair enough.
I missed it. Where's he say it though? Son of a okay.
Same, it's me.
So there's some part in here. There's some part in here where this Kastrup fellow makes this big deal about, like, in the case of panpsychism, the table has its own consciousness, but it doesn't have its own historical self. But like, then if I rip off the leg, does that become a separate consciousness? And if I reattach the leg to the table, does that? Here's the deal, Bernardo. The sacred space is the imaginal. And so when you rip off the table leg and it becomes a noun and a story object, then it's part of the story. It's in the story verse now. It exists in the narrative flow where we extract meaning for whatever reason. We can dig. I might get into that somewhere. But my point is that they're coming from this basis that you're not a fiction. Like your ego self, if you want to call it that, or your ego self's understanding of your whole self, or your narrative fictional self, your story self, the you that has your life story, the relevant you, right? That's not like, it's like material reality is the paper and pen that, like Paul named this one, what do you call it?
Me with a little,
the hiding spirits that rule the world. And it's not that they rule the world. It's like they whirl the world, and the world is the wake of the spiritual stories playing out. like, why pursue science if not as part of the story of the progress of mankind? Or Upcycle Club says, I am not a fiction, yet I am definitely maybe a useful one. There's a lot. It depends on what story, right? The relevance is, oh, or your vacuum cleaner sounds like the weather sirens? Oh dear. Oh dear. And Lynn has lost her tires. I don't know, guys. So I covered the Christian Neo-Gnosticism part already, and this whole self we're indoctrinated in. Here. There was something that really touched me. I've shared it as the algorithm fed it to me last night. I found it terribly touching. It's just, I shared it under the community tab. If you guys like want to find it for yourself. I have no idea why the algorithm fed it to me. Maybe that's part of the agentic control of forces we don't understand. But I don't know. It's kind of long. I guess I only need to do this part. Thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate all your comments and likes, and I appreciate you. Here. This is me appreciating you. You ready? Thanks. No, really. It means a lot. I appreciate it. Also buy stuff.
There's nothing to be done. But to speak personally, the citadel of myself, where I hid away, it's taken a long time for me to raise the portcullis and drop the drawbridge and step out into the blood and guts of life. But there is where we live, not in the citadel of our own self, our own fear, our own desires. To be out in the wilderness, in the blood, the guts, the mud, to be battered by the elements and to feel, really feel, we have to step outside ourselves. And then we make contact. We make contact with each moment, with reality, with others. And here we are.